It's a big night.
And it has sound effects. So fill yourself up.
And always remember,
Every day.
You are remarkable.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, the Noongar Wadandi Mort. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging.
Scratch the surface and everyone has a story. Welcome, Kaya, to the Wisdom of Women.
hi.
Hola.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
It's a big night.
It is a very big night because, of course, this is our wrap-up. We're very excited to bring you episode 20 of season 1 of the Wisdom of Women. And if you're watching on YouTube, you might notice something a little bit special because we have new mics and we have a new desk and we have a new mixer and it has sound effects. That's for if any one of us should swear. Otherwise, we've got all the other bits and pieces. What have we got, Sid?
There we go.
We've got
Yeah.
music.
The song, yeah.
Okay.
Really good music.
Now we're sounding very professional, I have to say. So,
Just jazz out a bit.
Here we go. This is it. And I've got to tell you, I'm just blown away by how this all began with just a little idea of three girls. Three girls sitting around decided that that women needed to talk more and share their stories.
We did. And drink. Cheers.
In moderation, of course.
This is just water.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Sure, Joe, sure. You say with literal olives in.
Oh, I
It's
know.
olive water.
It's very highbrow,
Sounds
your water.
disgusting.
So welcome along. Thanks very much for listening. So 20 episodes. What a great effort. And we decided that we would do a little bit of a recap to look back and have a chat about all the awesome women that we did have in the WOW studio. They all came with their own very unique stories, and I think each of us have really taken away something special from each of the ladies that have come along and shared a bit of their life's journey and their experiences. And we should start with our very first lady that came along. The power of being your own best friend was Wendy's slogan, and I really, really loved the way that she embraced that ethos. What did you guys think?
Oh, I quote that daily to my 15-year-old who
Oh, betcha.
resents that.
I bet you he listens.
But it's so wise. It was my first bit of, oh, look at this wisdom I've learned. Be your own best friend.
Yeah.
Get organised.
Have you taken that on board, Sid?
Well, I'll be honest, something similar has been said to me multiple times before I heard Wendy's one, but I didn't fully put it on board.
Yeah,
but
okay.
yeah.
After Wendy, you did?
Yeah.
It kind of clicked, didn't it?
Yeah, it was said in a way, I don't know, where it just,
Oh, she's got away.
And I just loved the way that Wendy took what was a very, traumatic and difficult part of her life, diagnosed with breast cancer, just met it head on and was take no prisoners with it all. It was a great attitude.
We had so much feedback. We've had feedback on all of our guests, but Wendy's really had an impact, and we had quite a few messages of people saying, I'm getting my boobs checked. That's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
now, I mean, I'll get them checked as well when I'm older.
Well, yeah, because I think that's one thing that we all understood out of that episode as well, is that it's not necessarily your age. It's just about being aware of your bodies, ladies. So fill yourself up and make sure you're okay.
Touch yourself in the shower.
Yeah, there you go. You have official permission.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Touch yourself.
So we moved from Wendy, and I tell you, a woman that just blew me away with showing how much attitude towards women in sport has changed, and that was Jan. Jan was a huge force in creating the AFL women's competition. She had some great backroom stories about, misogyny in the early days.
Fascinating. I could have listened we did. We listened to Jan for hours. She was amazing. and
She told it
funny.
well as well.
yet kind.
Yeah.
And the way that she spoke about the misogyny without being very negative, she was very positive about it. And what I really loved about listening to Jan was when she was talking about it, it was honest, but it wasn't cruel. She was so kind. And then when she mentioned that it wasn't just women, there were a lot of men empowering the women, the AFLW. So, and she was really fair. I loved it. She was just fair.
Yeah, she was very fair,
Yeah.
and extremely determined, and wasn't going to be told because, of course, she set the story in telling how, as a child, as a girl, she was quite literally told girls can't play football. And sort of that was the background, memory for her. And there she is a few decades later, steamrolling through and helping to launch the AFL women's competition. So kudos to Jan, and she spoke about a lot of women that were in the background in creating that scenario and bringing to life the dream. So kudos to all those women that were involved, because that's a big arena to make such big changes. Now look at them all.
Huge.
Hey?
And it's national.
Yep.
It's huge.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching it just the other day as well with Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. The AFLW?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of families are jumping on board. A lot of men have,
Yeah.
because let's face it, back in the early days, there was a lot of who's gonna watch women play football?
But it's entertaining as
yeah.
hell,
And the
man.
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly
Fitness,
right.
the skill
When
is
you watch,
beautiful.
just every girl has so much determination while playing.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Grace.
Yep. Beautiful.
Grace.
So that was really great having Jan on. And then we had the mum who quite literally reached out to the world to fight against the scourge of drugs in our society. Specifically, she had a child that was impacted by meth addiction. And gee, didn't that just open up a whole lot of conversation around what an impact that's having on society in general?
Yeah, because I mean, in school we would always get taught about, the effect of drugs and stuff, but hearing it firsthand, it definitely had, I thought about it in a different way. It just made it more serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the private messages we had were people who had not only battled it themselves but family members. There was one in particular was really, really ticking all the boxes. I've been addicted, my family have been addicted, and that Julie was just magnificent to listen to, and also magnificent to be part of her world and to have been helped by her. These are people who had been touched by her and the others who worked with her to get them through their addiction.
I was just really impressed by the way that Julie took what was clearly a very personal and private battle, but realised that to have an impact she needed to go wider with it all. And she did it in just such a dignified way, and quite rightly I think made a lot of people realise that, look, you may not have a family member or friend addicted to drugs, but by all means we're all impacted in some way, shape or form by what's going on. And Julie was fundamental in setting up some incredible support within the community, and was able to get some funding as well from government organisations and private organisations. So what an amazing, powerful mum who was driven to help and to heal the trauma. Because she spoke about trauma being a lot of the background, didn't she?
She did. She said a lot of that was in the prisons, that trauma is at the root of a lot of our problems in society. And it's true. And I think now we're realising that trauma is the cause of a lot of stuff, and we are addressing it, but, we've got years to catch up.
Yeah, there's a long way.
Yeah, it is. So,
But I liked what she said to us is to have fun and play more. That was a really nice takeaway after all of that stress, hardship, trauma. It's okay to have a good time.
Yeah, she still turned around and talked about finding the inner child, wasn't it?
From Mama Jules.
Yeah, Mama Jules. Hats off to you, Mama Jules. You made a big impact to us. Jo, we had you come along and tell your story.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I did have quite a lot of feedback as well. I had a lot of private messages from some of my friends who were like, oh, my God, I didn't know. But I've got to say that was just a little part of my life, and the part of finding out that I had been fostered and nearly adopted and all of that, I didn't know that until I was an adult. So I was over 18 when I found out. So when I look back, my childhood was pretty happy. I had a happy childhood. I had a lot of people who loved me and cared about me. So it was just one little snippet. And like I said, it was a lot of people who got me through it, and it was a lot of women. So,
women.
Now, I've been thinking about this a lot, that, you know, I did have a happy childhood and I got a happy life. So that was just one little area. And one of my friends was like, oh, my God, I've known you all these years and you poor thing. I said, but I'm not a poor thing. I'm very lucky, very fortunate, because I don't remember it.
That's helpful, isn't it?
And I'm very fortunate. So, yeah, I'm okay.
And you're a positive person as well. It's interesting how some people can, move forward in a much more positive manner.
And that's I think I mentioned there was one woman in particular was always positive, so I wanted to be like her. But I've got to say there are a lot of positive women in my life, you know, across all of my relatives, a lot of my friends. And it's who you surround you with. Surround yourself with positive people, and you're going to be positive. Yeah. And I'm not a down person. I've been down because of menopause, which I know we're going to get into at some point. Yeah. But I'm an up person, so you got to look for the positive. And that's what I was thinking, like saying to my friend, no, that was just a little snippet, and I'm not sad and I'm not a down person. Everything's positive and fine. And it could have been 10 times worse.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the glass half full way of looking at it all. But as you say, I think it has a huge impact when you surround yourself, and particularly for women, with like-minded women who are out there to build you up and not tear you down. Yes. The women that are there by your side when you need them, and that
and when you don't need them. You know, the ones who are there for your happiness, because sometimes there are people who won't be there when you're having a good time, and you think,
you think there's a little more behind that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you know, we've got to be there for the bad and the good, and
the yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang.
Yes, yeah, you're right. It's all about that. We had a guest who had this fantastic quote. We only die once, so make it a good one. We loved Samar, didn't we?
Yeah. Yep. She gave me goosebumps.
Okay, so she's an international leader in what they call death literacy, which is basically turning around and telling people we need to talk more about death. We need to understand that, yes, it is a part of life eventually. It is going to get us. And the difference in, I suppose, cultures to a degree, but also the ability just of families to actually sit down and have a conversation and an understanding about, you know, if you do have some kind of control over your final days, or even understanding, you know, how you want your life to be celebrated, to have the conversations. As a community, we need to be pulling together a lot more. And I think women naturally go into that sort of support, comfort and care role. I mean,
we do, but it was really interesting when she was saying about the corporate role, and, you know, we've got to grieve for 3 days and then get back to work. And
yeah, I was about to say that. When you think about just the difference in culture and how people grieve, it was just very interesting to me.
Yeah, in many ways we're kind of told, I think, to hold it together, aren't we? Stiff upper lip. Don't be too dramatic or emotional. And I don't suppose that probably serves us all that well in the end, because when you've lost someone that's dear to you, you should be able to show that, to express it.
I would like to think that, you know, there'll be a few tears.
Oh,
and a few
don't you worry,
a little bit
Jo.
of wailing.
There will be. I'll wail
some
for
alcohol.
you.
Oh, wow.
Do you want that by graveside wailing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll fall to my
want?
knees for
Yeah.
you.
All right.
I'll fall to my
There you
knees.
go.
But
We'll
I
make
just
sure.
think it'll get it out of your system, and then you can just move on.
There's nothing worse than emotion trapped in your body, is there?
Yeah, that's true. That's another trauma.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
No, we had some really good comments about Samar, people saying how she's helped and how Grief Connect has really helped them, and the whole death literacy program, and how much it's really helped people be a bit freer with their grief, and helped. That was really nice feedback.
And this is what it's all about. Here at the WOW, we're just about spreading the knowledge and the information. The wisdom. That's exactly right. We need to be spreading that around, all right? Then we had Alexis, from bullied school kid to this international app maker.
Amazing.
I know. And look, Alexis was a couple of years above you in school. Was it funny having her here in the studio and just thinking, we went to the same school?
Yeah, but wasn't she in the same year as our brother or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, oh my God. I remember her saying, oh, you're so tall now. I'm like,
and doesn't it just bring it close to home and make you realise the potential and the possibilities and the opportunities when it's someone who is so close to you in your life?
Yeah, and as well as like the same day she's gone to schools and done talks and stuff, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
She's pretty amazing to turn something so awful as being bullied, because a lot of us just take that on board and just hide. But she turned it into something that will help other people, and now it's her business, and she's just amazing. She's a mentor, and I downloaded the Her Help app to get on there and have a look at all the different options that are available, and I just think, what? This was done someone from here. What a clever cookie.
Yeah, and I just love the generosity of women that do go through an experience or a situation and sort of, rather than just getting over it and moving forward, they just have this way of seeing what is an opportunity and a way that they can help other women as well. And that was a bit of a reoccurring theme with a lot of our guests that we've had this season.
It's not about themselves.
No.
They think it is when they start, but then it never is it?
And then
It's
it just
very
becomes
selfless,
it is, isn't it? It becomes this great movement, and they just take they just take all their experience and knowledge and pass it on. It's just such a great village to exist in. I loved that one. And Sid, we had your journey as well.
Yes.
Oh, see, that was a tough one to record as your mum, because it's been it was a pretty traumatic period of time for a few years. You going through your epilepsy diagnosis and everything that came with it. What did it feel like talking about it out loud, like sharing that?
Well, I wouldn't say it was fully difficult. It was, I think I was very accepting of it, and because of that, it was easy for me to talk about. I'm very open with it, so I didn't find it too hard. It was more just weird.
It was amazing. I think I've said this to you before, Sid. I had a night drive somewhere, and so I put your episode on to listen to, how does it come across, and have a good listen. I do it to all our episodes, and yours I was crying. And I'm like, why am I crying? I'm interviewing her on this. And then I'm thinking, but I've lived this with you, and I've watched you struggle for this. And I don't know. And I was just crying because you'd gone through so much, and you've come so far. And you've done so well. And again, the feedback that we've had on people just like, go Sydney.
I got some great messages from family, friends and stuff. Just like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Because it is a brave thing. When you talk about yourself, people are like, oh, you talk about yourself. But it's not. It's quite hard sometimes to talk about yourself. And when you talk about yourself,
almost relive it a bit when you're talking about it. So I got to look back and think, wow, it was actually pretty difficult. Because I almost felt, when I was really in my down days, I almost felt guilty of feeling that way because I knew people who had it worse. And then I talk about it, I'm like, no, it was still pretty hard.
And it was your journey and your life. And you've done amazing.
And sharing that, I think, certainly would have to have helped someone listening. Well, I know that it has helped someone listening, because I've had people comment to me as well. And again, I think it's, it can place you in a very vulnerable situation, being so open about a personal experience. But when you can impact someone else's life, I think that becomes such a beautiful thing that you can do in sharing. So, yes, very proud of you, young lady.
Thank you.
Well done.
I'm proud of you too, Mum.
Thanks.
Aw, proud of you both.
Oh,
I'm
stop
proud of
it.
you, Jo.
Oh, thanks.
I'm proud of you, people listening. There you go.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we've got followers. We've got people who like to listen to us
Oh.
and to listen to our guests.
And then we had the amazing Dani, a Paris opera singer back in her day, who then went on to lead a children's choir to sing for a king. And not just a king, but previously to that, a queen as well. And we all know, we're all told, well, we know what it feels like sometimes when you put that song on or you hear a bit of music. I mean, it has the ability to transport you anywhere. And I did love listening to Dani and, again, just her referencing how music has such an amazing ability to bring together people and to heal people in
Yeah.
a way.
And the kids that she works with have been given opportunities that not many kids from the country get. So some of them did need some healing and some of them just needed an opportunity and they got it. They got it twice on a world stage. It's amazing.
Yeah, and she
Incredible.
created such a good community as well.
Yeah. So well done to you, Dani. That was great.
And then there's you, Mama. We had you on as well.
Oh,
Telling your
yes.
story.
Telling my story. So, so my background, just in case you haven't listened to the episode and, go back anytime and listen to any of our episodes. They're all there. So I came from a background of a couple of decades in the television broadcast industry. So it's almost coming up 12 months since I left.
Yeah, that's amazing.
A whole
Shauna.
year. Yeah.
Gone
That's
You've done so
gone very
much in that year.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I have had that conversation, when you've been in a job for so long, or you tend to almost define yourself by the role that you play. And it was a real lesson to me to understand that, no, I could actually move away from that and not lose myself and actually have an opportunity to embrace new opportunities. So it's been a real journey for me. And look, the industry that once, inspired me to be a journalist and be involved with has changed dramatically. It's not the same that it used to be. I'm not saying that there aren't some fabulous people still existing out there and doing a great job, but there was aspects of it that just didn't enamour me anymore.
It must be interesting to watch what's happening in broadcasting to traditional broadcasting, because I know that YouTube is huge. I mean, I'm always on it.
Oh, yeah.
And now I know that a lot of people are becoming not threats but competition to regular broadcasting, because they might have 6 to 10 million people on their YouTube channels. That's
Absolutely.
more than you'll get in ratings. And,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, average viewing audiences to your traditional terrestrial television broadcasters is I'm going to say quite dramatically down on what it used to be. So, I mean, when I was, first in the industry, you had television stations that literally had one channel that they broadcast on, and all the programming was scheduled to happen at a certain time. So there was no, catch-up TV and so forth. So it was very, very different, and it was a captured audience, so to speak, and that's just gone by the wayside now.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even watch TV now.
No, that's exactly right. They don't watch free to air.
Yeah.
No. It's all subscription
very
and live
true.
streaming.
Yeah.
And anybody can be a journo these days.
Yes, they can.
Right?
Anyone can have their own show.
But not all of them are good.
No, and that's something that we do need to remember, I think, because
And not all of it is true.
no, that is where your traditional media
So right.
organisations, because they do live by codes and ethics and are always, making sure that they get both sides of the story most of the time. There's some
Be
narratives
biased.
that I question, but traditional media in that sense certainly is so much better than going down that little old rabbit hole that
so
some people do.
After a year, how are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, so I mean, embarked on new journeys, new learnings, new adventures, and hey, we got the WOW together. So that's
We
pretty
did.
exciting.
Yep.
So
sure did.
couldn't be happier. Jo, thanks for
Excellent.
asking.
It's all right. It's
Loving
good
it.
to know. It is good to know.
Yeah.
I can
Set
see
up
in
the
your face
studio.
that you're happy, but it's nice that it's all working out the way that you wanted it to.
Yeah, it is good. Thank you. Yeah. Let's talk about another one of our guests that we had along, the mum who simply wants to see her child grow old and grey. So we had the fabulous Taryn who came along. Taryn is a mum who I suppose she even admitted was probably forced into becoming, an advocate for her son who was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. So she considers she did what any other mum would do, and that is to get out there, advocate and fight for the best care that she could possibly get for her child. A lot of that revolved around the availability of a particular cystic fibrosis drug that was considered to be quite literally life-saving, at least add decades to the life of a person with cystic fibrosis. So we had Taryn come in and, it was just, mesmerising listening to her talk about her journey and how her and her husband and the family and, the 3 boys all just got together. They're a tight-knit family and surrounded by very supportive, extended family and friends have really created a lot of awareness around the condition, and they pretty much did move mountains ensure that they got this drug released. So hats off to Taryn.
It's such an inspiring story, and the way she told it was just just lovely.
And her little boy is the most adorable thing.
Oh, isn't
Curly
he?
hair.
I know. Stop it.
Angelic.
Yeah. So we were very privileged to have Taryn come into the studio and talk about her story. And then we went from international model to creative tech powerhouse, geek girl, the Caitlin.
A whirlwind. You can't stop someone like Caitlin.
No.
Because she's so determined and so clever.
Yep.
And it was just such a contrast, though, of her life. Who on earth goes from walking the catwalks at Paris Fashion Week next to,
Karl Lagerfeld.
some of the big stars out there. And but she came back to what she always considered was her childhood love, which was geeking out.
Yeah. And like she said, the opportunities weren't really there for her at that time. And I love that she's now trying to give opportunities to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
the
her.
girls' game jam. I went to that. That was so fun as well.
Yeah.
And she's just known in the community now. It's just such a good person in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And making big inroads for women in there. A true person driven by passion to, as you say, create more opportunities for women in that area.
Yeah. It's like she's running a marathon she's just go, 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 go. And it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We loved having her in the studio. She was great to sit down and talk to.
Such good feedback on that one. Like all of them, like I say, but some of the messages, someone had written in and said that they didn't listen to it because they weren't really into modelling and don't know anything about tech. And then she said, no, I'll listen to it. And she's like, oh my God, that was one of the best ones. I just loved it.
Yeah.
I was fascinated.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you know what? And that was just the bits we recorded.
Yes.
Because I've got to tell you though, with all the women that come in, of course, we've got the bits that we do record, but there is some conversation that goes on outside of that.
Lot,
and that again just takes you into much, darker reaches and depths of their stories and backgrounds.
You get some deep conversations.
Yeah.
It's like we always say,
don't
they come in and we're all really nervous and we don't know each other. Like, hello.
Yeah.
And then it's like, bye, don't go. At the end, it's our new best friends.
Big hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's having a conversation, isn't it? We did have Christy come on board, and I don't know if you caught that episode, but this was the former child abuse investigator she spent a decade in the police force in an area that would have been particularly difficult, I think, to have managed your mental and emotional health, listening to some of, the things that have happened to children. And gee whiz, she used her experience though and wrote books.
Amazing stories and wisdom, and how the knowledge, she's sharing the knowledge of what to do if you think your child is in any danger. But what I took away from was her talking about the teenage sexploitation, the increase in that, and the suicide rates. And then we had a situation happen in our family with a bit of sexploitation, and I acted the way that she'd kind of said to act, and then I backed it up by contacting her after I'd acted. And, spoken to the school, police, did everything. And she reinforced that, it doesn't matter what people think. Your kid is the most important thing. So if you think they're in danger of harming themselves, taking their lives, they're being sexploited, whatever, you've got to act like their life depends on it, because they do. So Taryn was not only wise at the time, but she's so helpful. Christy, sorry. Yeah. So helpful and kind and still there, and very, very active at the moment, because there's been so much. I think we're becoming more aware of the news catching up, people getting caught. I don't know, but Christy's all over it at the moment. It's amazing. It's kind of comforting to know that there's someone with that knowledge and experience there to help.
And I took away from talking with Christy as well, that understanding that when we don't talk about these issues, when we act with some sense of embarrassment and shame to think that either we've been a victim or someone in our family has, we actually almost give power to these people, to these predators. And I took away from that in understanding that we need to be having these conversations, because you need to take the power away from them. They operate in that sense of secrecy, of sneakily coming around or sneakily through the internet, through, digital means. So it's about taking their power away. Have the conversation. We need to be open and discussing what's happening in that arena, because it is only getting worse.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of the time they presume that, the person's not going to say anything to anyone else about what they're doing. But so you need to be open and say something.
And know what's going on. And it's hard to know what's going on in your kid's life all the time, but try, particularly with social media.
And particularly her words were really good too, I think, for any teenager to actually listen to that conversation we had with her as well, and to understand that you need to take your power back. You need to be able to say no. You need to listen to your gut. How often do we hear that? Yeah. Listen to your gut feeling. Something doesn't quite feel right. There's all those different aspects. And look, Christy really passed on, I think, some incredible words of wisdom and empowerment for people in this environment. So good on her. And then we went to Shauna. Now, we loved her. So Shauna was a former pro golfer, still pro golfer, but in the heyday, of course, was touring around the world, involved in big ticket tournaments, and I loved listening to her talk about. And again, back in the day when women's golf was probably treated a bit dismissively, I think, by men and. They had their shorts measured or their skirts measured to ensure that they were correct length. And
so it's not distracting.
Oh, here we go. So, look, haven't we come a long way? I hope we've come a long way, though, because we did have the conversation with Shauna, and she still admits today, though, that there is still a big men's club that operates within golf.
Wasn't there something like it only just opens Saturday afternoons to women?
Yeah, one of the local
recent,
clubs,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
she was saying.
Yeah. So, although women playing golf have moved so much and come forward and more freedoms within the sport in the last couple of decades, clearly there's still a little bit more to go there.
Yes.
But she had some great yarns. She made us laugh. I love her attitude.
Yeah.
She was like, just get out there, give it a go.
She was so fun to talk with as
Very
well.
fun. I didn't want it to go.
No.
We talked for a while.
Ages.
Yeah.
It was I was gonna say like having an old friend in the studio, but yeah, an old hockey mate. in the
Yeah.
studio.
Hockey mate.
Yeah.
Hockey.
Because
Or
she's
golf.
so passionate about all sport, particularly cricket now.
Yes.
I was
She almost
really
roped
excited.
you in, I think, to
I
play,
nearly
didn't
did.
she?
Well, or to help get people places.
yeah. Yeah.
The young
Love it.
girls coming through, the teenage superstars in the making.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, all for that. I think it's
Thank you, Shani. You're an absolute jet to
You're a
have in
legend,
at the
Love you,
WOW.
Shani.
Loved your work. Oh, another woman that we loved who explained to us and demonstrated so beautifully and elegantly the art of just sitting and listening, having a cup of tea and just being present in the moment.
I
This
could
was
have
the
fallen
amazing
asleep
Pat.
listening to her.
I love Pat
Yeah.
so much. Her voice and her message were just amazing.
And it did resonate with a lot of people as well.
Yes.
We had a lot of people make some comments.
Pat's episode has been our all-time most viewed and listened to, and I'm not sure because there were a few gentle messages throughout there. But like you're saying, it's just about talking and community, but it's maybe the way she tells it and that gorgeous accent.
Yeah. It's
But,
so calming.
Oh, very calming. Yeah, it was a good. They're all amazing episodes, but there was a soul one that really got me with Pat. And how she said, and she was talking about addiction, and she was saying that addiction is our is the thing that we need to be worried about at the moment. You know?
she did too.
And it
didn't
kind
she?
of harked back to a lot of what Julie was talking about, and trauma, talking, getting through it.
Giving a hug to someone.
Yeah, hugs.
No, Pat, you were full of wonderful, wonderful wisdom, and thank you for coming into the WOW studio and sharing it with us. We loved it. Oh, and then we had the ultimate feminine organisation, made by women for women, almost 100 years old, set up originally because the boys didn't want the girls to come and join Boy Scouts.
Why would we want to?
So the girls had to go off and make their own organisation.
Yeah.
And they did it beautifully. Yeah. We had the amazing Brenda, who herself was a little brownie back in the UK before she came over to Australia and at one point was the head of the Girl Guides for Australia. And I just loved her sense of mischievousness, adventure, practicality. She was full of wonderful stories and I think really embodied everything about women banding together, having a good time, learning some good skills.
Great skills,
Yeah.
life skills that I've never forgotten.
Yes.
Yeah, what about, do you remember the...
I promise to do my best, to do my duty to God, to serve the Queen and help other people and to keep the Brownie Guide law.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Give you a clap.
Nice job,
And
you.
I could give the special handshake because I was a Girl Guide and a Brownie.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an honour. And I loved my time as a Brownie and a Girl Guide because I'm not much of a camper these days. I'll go camping at the Crown Towers. Thanks.
Yep, that doesn't constitute camping,
But
hate
back
to tell
in
you.
the day, I would have camped. No problem.
Is the handshake like a right hand instead of a left?
That's right. No, left instead of right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The opposite to normal. Yeah.
Either way, we loved having you in here, Brenda. Thank you for
It was
passing on your
great.
practicality.
So
And I kind of feel like I missed out on something in my childhood that I didn't
why
join.
were you
you
not
grew up
I
on a
don't
farm.
know.
You grew up on a farm. You had the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. You were
Yeah.
okay.
I was already making campfires and doing all that stuff, wasn't I? Yeah, okay.
Didn't enroll me in it though.
No, I didn't. No. All right.
Oh,
Never mind,
shame.
Sid. You'll be right.
Well, I did still go to the farm, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's where they learn the life skills on the farm. Can you imagine leaving everything that you know in your home country, your family, your friends? You've created an amazing career for yourself. You're a lawyer, but you're in a country that is besieged by internal wars, and you're, concerned for your own safety. So you decide that you are going to leave everything behind. And we had Artie come in and talk to us, and she works as a beautician here in the Southwest, and absolutely renowned as well, which
so many people messaged me and said, oh my God, I love Artie. She's the only one I trust with my brows.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was love that woman.
Yeah.
Love her for her. And having her sit here, you can see why.
Yeah.
She's so clever and kind.
Such a beautiful woman as well.
Yeah. And brave to, like you say, her and her husband just packed up everything and came to Australia, which, let's face it, we're so different to some of these countries that people come from.
Yeah.
And they accepted to come to our country. I mean, we're pretty lucky.
And embraced it.
Yeah.
Coming from a place that's just so culturally different to what we have
different.
here.
And to give up being a lawyer. I mean, that's a lot of work to be a lawyer. And to give it up and know that, well, you should have to basically do our whole studies again to do it here. So, we're very lucky.
That's one thing I did find interesting is the difference in the laws from here to where she was before.
Yeah, very different. Yeah. And based on different ideals. Yeah. And probably, I would say, a lot harder over there to interpret the law, I think. But that I've got a different kind of brain because I've grown up here.
Yeah.
But, she's had to readjust her brain to come here and not do law. And to support her husband. It takes a big deal to support someone and give up your dreams.
While
I
her
think that's amazing.
husband was studying to get his doctor's degree.
Amazing.
So, and just another, I think, amazing example of how women can just be so damn strong.
Yeah.
Can't they?
Yes, sir.
They just persevere and embrace and move on. It was wonderful listening to Artie's story. Then we had the midwife whose life as a child was quite literally scoping around her neighbourhood so that she could find a baby to look after.
Which does sound a little creepy when you say
she was pretty passionate
but
about
then
it all.
when you realise she had 6 of her own, it all makes sense. It's been there from the
does.
very beginning.
So this was Harriet. We call her H. She has spent decades in nursing midwifery and just had some wonderful stories to talk about, and really just, I think, some really, celebrating women and having babies, and very supportive too in understanding that as mothers we all have our own journey.
Yes, and she's so kind about. I don't know about you, but sometimes I was judged quite harshly, or maybe I was judging myself harshly, when you're breastfeeding and having baby and giving birth or whatever. But she just said it, whatever's best for you, whatever's best for your baby, whatever's safest.
Yeah.
And that's what I brought in as well when she was talking about breastfeeding and how it sometimes can be really painful for people, and it's okay not to breastfeed.
Yeah.
And not be ashamed of doing that.
Yeah.
So that's something that I took from it.
And when she was talking about how, some people in third world countries who don't get 3 meals a day, snacks, water, whatever, they still manage to give their child what they can give their child. If they can't, there's other people to help them. And talking about the Indigenous birthing and how she felt like a spare part, when she was up trying to help, because they had it all under control. And that kind of, to me, reinforced trusting women.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just trusting women to get on with it.
Yeah. It's so far removed from, I suppose, what was considered to be just a natural process.
Yeah.
With it all. I mean, not to say certainly that women go through complications and have issues. So, certainly getting, the best medical care that you can.
What's right for you? What's right for you, baby? Done. I loved that message because it was just don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, good on you, H. Nice job,
it
you.
was good.
And then we had the amazing Heidi. Now, Heidi was a loud and proud radio jock who always seemed to be so full of self-confidence in herself and her abilities, never shy. And then one day she, I suppose you would say, kind of broke down on live radio and just completely made herself vulnerable and spoke about all the problems she was having with anxiety and self-worth and body image.
Yeah.
And just opened the floodgates to a huge response from women about a woman in a profile, a high profile industry, actually revealing how she truly hated herself and her body.
Laying it all out there.
Yeah. And she's gone on from that, though, to just create this amazing movement for women. I love it. Empowering women.
It really changed her life, didn't it?
Yeah.
From being vulnerable to where she is now, 10 years later.
Yeah.
I think Heidi is such a great person as well. I enjoy talking with her about stuff.
She is great and she is very inspirational, and the message is always the same with Heidi. It's not about what's fashionable, it's about what's real.
Yeah.
And she reinforces that, from a PR point of view, but mostly from a female point of view, just, because it is hard to be yourself. We don't let ourselves be ourselves as much as we should, but she's reinforcing that. Come on, it's okay.
It is, reinforcing that it is okay to be vulnerable, to be authentic in how you deliver yourself, and to not judge ourselves so harshly as well, because we've spoken about this before. We're often our own worst critics.
Well, like she said, we're our own worst cock blockers.
Yeah.
Cock blocking.
Yeah.
She was, and if you want to put it in those terms, exactly what we do. We do it to ourselves.
Yeah. So she was really inspiring.
Yeah.
Loved her episode.
Spreading the message of body positivity.
Yeah, that's right. We should love ourselves in all shapes and sizes. It's who we are.
And
it will be difficult, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I think a lot of women, and I myself over the years, have wasted a lot of my energy and time and emotion in being so concerned about things that at the end of the day just don't matter. If you're happy and healthy, live your life. Do not be too concerned about how people are viewing you. We've got to stop worrying. Is that great saying? Other people's opinion of you are none of your business.
Yes.
Love it.
That's a good one.
Forget it. Yeah. Be who you want to be. Yeah. So there was our amazing collection of women who took the time out to come into the Wisdom of Women studio, sit down and have a conversation with us. We appreciated every single one of them.
What do you think is the thing from all of our guests, the things that have struck you the most? Or
just how much a community has an effect with people. It's such a big thing.
Yeah.
Supporting each other.
Yeah. Just having a good community of people around you.
I think for me it was most definitely creating connection, which often means that you do need to stop worrying about what people are going to think of you. It is okay to open up and talk about things that are happening to yourself, to say, I need some help, or to turn around and say, can I help you?
Yeah.
Are you okay? So I think for me it was very much about women connecting with each other and talking, because we're just so much more powerful when we can start embracing each other, our differences, our sameness, and coming together.
And that's what Pat said. If you focus on the similarities, the differences will fall away.
Yeah. Such a beautiful comment. It does make utter sense, doesn't it? So,
what about you, Jo?
Same, the sense of community. And a few of my friends and I always talk about our village. We've always got a village because you can't get through a lot of things that are, you have a village when you're at school. Your village can change. You can move to this village and have a bigger village. But there's always the community and the village.
Yeah.
Of helping and that's some. I don't know if men have the same kind of village mentality as women have.
I think they present theirs probably in a different way.
Yeah, but I've found that in kindness, everyone's that we've had has been very kind, and I think that's a really important thing.
It is an important thing.
I think being kind is really important, and that my quote at the beginning of the year, you know, adjusting a woman's crown without telling anybody that it was crooked. I think that still stands because that again is women helping women.
Yeah,
without
such
tearing
a good
them
quote
down
as well.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's a good one.
And that's what we're about, isn't it? So we are going to be having a couple of weeks little break, and then we will be back with season 2 of the Wisdom of Women, with some more remarkable everyday women coming in to have a chat with us, and imparting some of their knowledge. Maybe it can help you. I mean, this is what it's all about, isn't it? Yes. Sharing the knowledge. Again. The wisdom.
It's always there,
I love that. The wisdom. We need to press a button here for something to.
What, applause?
Yeah, something like that.
There's an applause.
So we do need to say a big thank you to our awesome partners who have helped set us up in the studio, new desk and bits and pieces. So
thank you, Stan.
When they created the walls as well.
The walls and everything. And initially we had some awesome people help us as well with some of the sort of pre-production. So a big thank you to Sharon and Dean at Lomax, and to Derek and Nat and Jared at Totally Sound. You guys rock. You've helped us out. And we got through the first season. So thank you.
We love you guys. Thank you.
And we had Mark come in to help us with some angles, but I don't think I think he's a retired gentleman now, isn't he?
No, Mark's still doing a few bits and pieces. But thank you, Mr. Weddell, for your assistance as well.
Very lucky.
So, yeah, thanks everyone. That pretty much sums it up for us. If you've listened to one or every episode, we do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Well, hopefully we'll be even wiser as we continue on.
And always remember,
every day,
you are remarkable.
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. My voice, man.
Sorry, I had a coffee.
Love it.
My voice at the end kind of just died.